When I've looked at the program, the change in the business, I guess, wasn't what I had thought would occur at the beginning. And we did try to work out how we would measure progress, productivity or what we were expecting to see. We knew going into it that it would be difficult to measure, but one of the things that I think, if you're looking at what people were in particular eating before the program, and you're sitting in the cafeteria, someone's having a pie for morning tea with a chippy sandwich, I'm thinking, how productive are my staff if that's what they're putting into their bodies? They haven't had breakfast. So when we looked at the productivity, I can only assume that myself, if I've eaten well and slept well and looked after myself, that I am more productive. So when we look at it now, maybe it's more around how engaged are they. And again, if you go back to personal experience, if you're looking after yourself and feeling well, you're more engaged. So it'll be interesting to see whether or not the wellness program comes out in the commentary for our engagement. So annually we measure employee engagement with a survey. And we might actually talk to the staff about that and maybe try and connect the two in terms of how they feel about the organisation. But certainly when we looked at it, it was more about not so much productivity immediately, because it's too hard to measure, but really thinking about how do we make our staff more engaged in what they do.
We regularly have shared morning tea, shared lunches, and it's not unusual, it wasn't unusual for team members to bring in a lot of sugary food, sugary drinks, food that's just not really good for you. But there has been a change. People now bring in fruit. No, cheese isn't real good for you, but it's better than a piece of cake. So things like avocado, we are seeing more healthy foods at our shared lunches or shared morning teas, which is great. I do think the team going out for the regular walks, the people that participated in the program, they were going out 2 and 3 times a week, particularly in the summer months, and they were doing it unreminded, they were doing it off their own back. I think they definitely showed benefits of that. They'd come back, they'd eat a healthy lunch, and then they'd get into work in the afternoon. It also flowed on to other people in the team because they could see them walking and they could see them eating better, so they wanted to be like those guys. So it did, the walking, I think, really energised them. The ones who were in the program sort of addressed their food, and then in the kitchen they'd be talking about what they were eating, and it flowed on to the other people in the team. The food certainly became a big talking point, and it's much more of a talking point now. Even, what are you having for morning tea? Have you got some brown bread? Have you got this? It has had, I mean, it's not huge, but people have improved, and if everyone improves a little bit, it's good.
So our values specifically to do with the program are around excellence and care. So in terms of the management, what I was looking at was seeing how some people were looking after themselves, and I guess if we could help them in terms of their own personal well-being, then that would really, to me, I was looking for educating them on options around health. And then what we found during the program is that we were getting some really, really good results. And so I guess the buzz that I've got out of that is that I think I've made a difference by introducing the program here. I don't believe the staff would have been given the opportunity to have a look at what we did look at had we not introduced the program. So when I speak to some of them about what they think about the program, it's really affected how they look at things at work and also at home. So I've kind of got a little bit of, that's a real buzz for me, and a real sense of pride in that I've actually made a difference there for those people and their families as well. And one of the really interesting things is that the program hasn't just impacted the 8 or so people that we had in the program, but across the floor now, culturally, the food that people bring, the food that people are eating in the kitchen for morning tea and for lunch is so much more healthier that across the board, you've got to think that that's going to make a big difference to business and also them personally. I think the biggest success around it is the food. People will struggle to find time with the fitness, but I think small steps, and I think the healthy eating has certainly become a habit. So to me, that feels really good to me. Yes, so we did have a specific target for the program. So there's a guy who comes, who used to come 10:30 every morning, beep like mad and park around the back. And so he followed us from Petone when we moved, because most of his customers were working in my team. And so, yeah, this is a guy that turns up and sells pies, used to sell pies and cakes to my staff for morning tea, which was actually their breakfast. So one of our objectives was for the pie, to get rid of the pie man. And we very politely spoke to him about offering healthy options. But then when the staff worked out that they could walk across the road and get much cheaper, healthier options, the pie man stopped coming. So that was brilliant.